Hello everyone, it's Jamal Thomas. Welcome to the Progressive Soapbox. This one is going to be blisteringly quick. Let me make sure I'm up first. This was not the video I intended to do. Shout out to Jeff Kuntz for filling me in on this one. It's like my unpaid researcher. He sends me stuff all the time. He's like, hey, take a look at this, take a look at this. Yeah, Jeff, thank you very much, man. I hadn't seen this, so thank you very much. I'm going to have to follow Nat. So I've been following and I've been keeping people apprised of what's been taking place from the standpoint of UFO stuff. I seem to be the only person who's talking about this, so fuck it, I'm going to talk about it full-throated. Just as a reminder, Politico, New York Times, MSNBC, CNN, Washington Post all come out with this bombshell story that the United States government had investigating UFOs. Now, this was a bombshell story to everybody who hasn't been paying attention over the last 60 years. In fact, this story was somewhat planned almost like a year before the story came out, a year or more before it came out. It was planned. There were people in the community itself that knew this story was going to come out. A lot of this had to do with Tom DeLonge, the rock star from Blink 182. Now, Tom DeLonge, the rock star from Blink 182, essentially was working behind the scenes with these military types, a bunch of spooks. And these spooks made sure that he had access to the people that he needed in order to, I guess, try to push this to the forefront. And that's essentially what Tom DeLonge did. He pushed this to the forefront. I suspect strongly that they thought Hillary Clinton was going to win that race and that the information that they were going to release was going to dovetail nicely with Hillary Clinton's say or intention on investigating UFO files. That's what I think. I could be wrong. Nevertheless, it comes out. Big splashy headline. Harry Reid supposedly has his number or name attached to this, and we're off to the races. Tom DeLonge has been dripping one video after the next over the past few months, saying that there's more content to come in this particular case. Well, it's possible that there's going to be something big that's going to come in this case. George Knapp is a reporter. He's an investigative reporter for KLAS TV. George Knapp got big he did an investigation. I can't think of the guy's name. It's an Area 51 investigation. Bob Lazar. That's how he got big. Bob Lazar, he was kind of the secret investigation. He was looking for a story. He gets to Bob Lazar, blows people's minds. And Bob Lazar eventually pulls himself out of the limelight and goes away. But George Knapp still investigates the stuff. George Knapp puts out this. Remember the 2004 Tic Tac UFO incident involving the USS Nimitz? Somewhere in the bowels of the Pentagon, there's a highly detailed 13-page analysis of that encounter. Want to see it? You will. Do you remember the video? I don't want to show it because I don't want them to hit me with a copyright strike, which they may actually do because Tom DeLonge is saying that he owns this video, even though I think it's nonsense, saying he's put it on the web for any and everybody to see. But nevertheless, it's the video which is essentially a blotch on the screen that's moving around. Now, the blotch on the screen, it's not really much you could see from that. But what you get out of this, though, is the Navy pilots themselves who was up in the air looking at this object, supposedly flying around with this object for a period of time, and watching this thing do things that their planes, that they have never even seen an aircraft do. They didn't even think aircraft was capable of doing. It blew their minds. There's signal data, and there's eyewitness data of these military guys who are watching this stuff in the air doing what it does. Luis Elizondo went from pillar to post talking to anybody that had a microphone about what was taking place, and that yes, he believes that we're being visited by something else. All of these stories are mind-blowing. Like, I watched Luis Elizondo relay this information. And as he relayed this information, the woman on CNN says she's shocked by this information. She doesn't even know how to process it. This blows her mind. I don't know why it blows her mind. She's a ball hurtling through the cosmos. I don't know why she's so vain enough to believe that she's the only species that's here, or that's around. And she says, do you think that we're being visited? And Luis Elizondo says, I can't speak for the United States government, but based on my scientific analysis of the data that's provided to me, and all of the stuff I've been sweeping up as I've looked over these records, yes. And then it goes to something like a Burger King commercial. I say that to say how how dramatic, mind-blowing what she just said is. This is possibly the most important thing from the standpoint of humanity that has ever happened to the human race. No, it's not the United States government coming out and say it, but yes, it is some element that's associated with it, given this level of confirmation. What Knapp says here, and what Tom DeLonge has said all along, is they have a lot more stuff that they're going to put out. And they're putting this stuff out drop by drop by drop. And they said before that in addition to the videos, they had detailed analysis, and they also had some kind of physical evidence. Well, it sounds like, according to George Knapp, that the analysis itself is about to come out. Remember the 2004 Tic Tac UFO incident involving the USS Nimitz? Somewhere in the bowels of the Pentagon, there's a highly detailed 13-page analysis of that encounter. Want to see it? You will. I'm not going to keep this long. I will say one thing, though. Tom DeLonge, be skeptical of this. Be extremely skeptical of this. 3 things can be taking place, maybe even more. Either this is what they say it is, meaning the actors in this are being honest. Right off the bat, I don't believe the actors in this are being honest. Seeing as the UFO community knew this story was going to come out years before, and they're acting as if this all of a sudden just kind of came out the blue, right off the bat, it's starting from a dishonest premise. That's the first point. Be skeptical. Either they're being honest about it, meaning there is something up there that these pilots were interacting with. Either they're outright lying about it, or there's some combination of both. It's very possible that there could be a combination of both, which complicates the story that much more. Be skeptical. What I think of this is, and the problem with this that I have, when this story first came out, I was somewhat elated by this. I was slightly terrified, but I was somewhat elated. And I was terrified, and I think my fears are eating me alive on this one. The reason why I say that is, it's one thing if you're engaging in a society that's honest, where you trust the media, where you trust the people who you put into those offices, where you have this kind of trust that your society works towards the best end of human nature and all this other nonsense. We have a capitalistic society that works towards maximizing the individual profit, even at the expense of the society itself. And to this, we're adding aliens. These spooks who've lied to the UFO community, who've lied for a living, who lies to the government, who gets into wars. We're supposed to believe that these spooks are all of a sudden coming out and being honest. Why? Why would we believe that they're being honest on this subject, but everything else or many of the other subjects they're lying about? Why on earth will we believe all of a sudden everything that's coming out about this? I have to be honest. I've become somewhat cynical of this. Not cynical, but I've become extremely skeptical of this. All of this is coded in the context of a threat. There's something up there that we don't know what it is, that we need to figure out. We need to dump more money into military technology. We are trying to build this ship. We're trying to build this ship to go, do what the alien technology is doing, or whatever that thing is doing, or that craft is doing. We need more money because we need to invest in more technology for issues of space. I mean, ultimately, that is what we're talking about, right? If we're saying that something is coming to this particular world, okay. Well, how are they getting here? Are they getting here through some kind of dimensional gate, or are they getting here through some kind of space? Well, either way, they're going through some kind of medium. And if they're in our airspace, and if these guys are saying that something is coming here, why are they telling us this? Are they telling us this for shits and giggles, or are they telling us this because they actually want to get something done with this information? Meaning, if something is up there that we don't know what it is this a pretext for we need to invest more money into some kind of space-based weapons, or some kind of observatory in space, or some kind of observatory in the sky to keep an eye on what's coming in and out of our atmosphere? This feels like a pretext for weapons in space. That's my only point. Whether we already have them or not is kind of besides the point. It feels like this is a pretext to give up some kind of reason for weapons in the air, in space. And I don't need to tell you, but that is a terrifying prospect. Imagine for the moment a weapon or some kind of laser that's floating about in space that can pretty much hit any target on the planet with this kind of precision accuracy of our current satellites. What would that mean for militaries? What would that mean for any level of uprising or popular resistance, where somebody can sit in an office somewhere, press a button, and that ray, essentially a death ray, beams and hits some particular part of the planet. Is that the world that you want? Is that really the world that you want? I'm going to put this here, and like I said, I'm not going to keep this one long. Believing in aliens and supporting Bernie as a Democrat is consistent. Oh, that's hilarious. That's hilarious. I have to be honest. I'm always enamored by the position that doesn't believe in it. Like, it seems like it's a religious belief not to. You're on a ball hurling through the fucking cosmos, and you're supposed to believe that you're the only thing, as if God created this little glass, and they put human beings in this little glass, and there was nothing else out there. If you believe in any level of this kind of evolutionary cycle or evolutionary environment, then life should be all over the place. It's more weird to not believe it, if that makes sense. I always find the other argument to be more bizarre. Hillary would have revealed the truth, my friend. She would have opened the books. I think she would have revealed something. Again, whether or not it was true, this is kind of the problem, man. Garden, I think I'm leaning more towards your side on this. So, slightly leaning on your side of this. When this first came out, like I said, I was somewhat excited about this. Like, holy shit, that's amazing. These guys are actually disclosing. This is amazing. This is disclosure. And then when they showed the videos, I'm like, certainly there's better videos than this. This can't be the best that they got. And then you see the spooks that are running, like, why are these spooks coming out with this information now? And what are these spooks trying to accomplish? Yeah, it's we'll see. I mean, this is one of those things you wait and see. And my fear and suspicion is it doesn't matter whether there's reality to it. The public itself will get wrapped up in whatever it is they're coming out with. Giving away all their doubts and saying there's a guy in a uniform that's telling me something, so I'm going to believe this guy in the uniform that's telling me something. Completely missing the point that guy in the uniform may have some ulterior motive in telling you what he's telling you. So, we'll see. But nevertheless, I'm not going to be overly cynical about it. George Knapp, investigative reporter for KLAS. Remember the Tic Tac UFO incident involving the USS Nimitz? Somewhere in the bowels of the Pentagon, there's a highly detailed 13-page analysis of the encounter. So, long story short, George Knapp is saying that Tom DeLonge, I guess, Academy to the Stars, is going to release that report. So, we should expect that report at some point. That report is going to be fascinating to dig into because I am immensely curious about what is going to be in that report. So, I'm trying to hold back overt cynicism of this process. But I don't like the people that Tom DeLonge has associated himself with. I say it that way. How put off, I like. The spooks and everything else, not so much. So, I'll leave this here because this was not my original. Wow, I am Siler. We may find some agreement here. Alien life has been here longer than us. How many megalithic alien structures are on Earth that could not have been possibly built by early man? I am next Democratic talking point. Trump is a racist, racist against space aliens. All right, Tyler, we agree on that one. Fair enough. I don't know about the megalithic structures, but I don't go that far into it. My only argument for the most part is there's enough evidence to get across this point that something is coming here. Now, or at the very least, something is in our skies that we don't necessarily know what it is from a common individual level. Let's say it that way. And something is taking place. I mean, look, guys, whether you want to believe that this is aliens or not, they are making a move, pushing something. They're pushing something. Otherwise, you wouldn't have all these media outlets pushing the story. And George Knapp is coming out with this. I suspect this is going to be another big splashy thing that comes out from the standpoint of a media assault. I don't think this stuff comes out if they weren't necessarily trying to push a particular narrative. And the goal for us is to figure out what is that narrative? What is the motivation behind it? Is it being honest? Are they making shit up? Oftentimes, we don't have the capacity to figure out those things as a flat fact, but we can look at their actions and figure out what they're doing. So, just be aware. Whether you believe it or not is kind of besides the point. Somebody, something, some edifice, some entity, some group is pushing this narrative into the public. Be aware. Be aware. I'll leave it at that. 15 minutes is not too long. It's longer than I wanted. But nevertheless, I'll leave it here. All right, guys. If you enjoy the content, please feel free to share, like, subscribe. And, of course, you can always support through Patreon. My next video, I'm thinking about having a 420 asking a very particular question. What is TYT? What is TYT? You'll see what I mean when I come up next. I'll see you guys shortly. Thanks, guys.